Thank you, John and Jillian. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Martha McCallum, and this is The Story. Moments ago, the White House touting more than 460 arrests in Washington, D.C., just in the days since President Trump's federal crackdown and the arrival of National Guard on the scene began. Now, these arrests include assault with a deadly weapon, murder, apprehension of 3 known gang members, one of whom is a member of MS-13. Watch this video that was posted by Trump supporter Nick Sorter, appearing to show some surprise by people at how peaceful the streets were in D.C. last night.
Strangely empty, right?
Right, it is. Strangely empty.
I've never seen it like this.
So there's that opinion. The GOP-led states that you see on your screen, according to the Department of Defense, are sending anywhere from 100 to 500 National Guard troops from their own states to help out with this effort in Washington, which, as you know, is a 30-day effort. But there's skepticism about these numbers coming from D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser.
This doesn't make sense. You know what doesn't make sense. The numbers on the ground in the district don't support 1,000 people from other states coming to Washington, D.C. You know that.
All right. So what is the real situation? Fox News also can confirm that there is a DOJ investigation into the potential manipulation of D.C. crime data to make the crime rates in the district appear lower. And with that, we bring in Gregg Pemberton, who is chairman of the D.C. Police Union, and he's an active duty detective, I should say, with the Metropolitan Police Department. Officer, thank you very much, Commander. Good to have you with us today. Thank you for joining me.
Thanks for having me, Martha.
So can you confirm for us that there have been police officers and detectives and members of law enforcement in D.C. who, on the scene of crimes, have been told, yeah, don't write that one down, or don't add that to the list, or put that down as a more minor offense?
Absolutely. That's one of the chief complaints of our members when we go around and talk to them, is that they respond to the scenes of these violent crimes. And inevitably, you'll have a captain or a commander or sometimes a lieutenant show up on the scene and advise them to take a report for a lesser offense. One of the things that we see them do often is sometimes there'll be a shooting or a stabbing, and if the victim is uncooperative with the police, which is not uncommon in some areas of the city, they'll be directed to take an injured person to the hospital report, which is not even a crime at all. It's an incident report. Sometimes you'll have a robbery. It'll be reported as a theft. Other times you'll have burglaries that are reported as unlawful entry or thefts. This is something that's been, unfortunately, part and parcel of the police department for some time, and we're very skeptical that these crime stats are accurate.
That's extraordinary. What is the motivation? Why are these commanders or higher-ups arriving on the scene during apprehensions and telling police officers to indicate something other than what actually happened at the scene?
Well, the only explanation could be to keep the crime stats down, because politically that's expedient for the police department and elected officials in the district. I mean, let's go back to how we got here, which is that in 2020, the D.C. City Council passed the Comprehensive Policing and Justice Reform Act, which was a sweeping piece of legislation designed to hamstring police officers, to reduce the size, scope, and responsibilities of police officers. In addition, it also prevented us from holding criminals accountable even when they're convicted of crimes. And so now here we are 5 years later, the police department with an authorized strength of 4,000 sworn members. We only have 3,180, leaving us with over 800 vacancies for the position of police officer. In order to make up for that gap, the police department uses 2 million hours of mandatory overtime to cover the demand for police officers. And so because of that, crime has skyrocketed in the district. And one of the things that we think is going on in the police department, which who knows how high up that those directives are coming from, is to make sure that these crime stats are reported in the most favorable way possible.
I mean, what you're saying obviously substantiates what we heard from President Trump. He said they were opening an investigation and that he didn't believe, because what happened, I don't have to tell you, I'm speaking to the audience at large, but when President Trump said he wanted to bring in National Guard, all we heard from many quarters in the media and in leadership in Washington was, this is ridiculous. Our numbers are lower than they've been in a long time in Washington, D.C. We don't need National Guard presence on our streets. I mean, this sounds very, very egregious. This is lying to the people, the constituents of Washington, D.C., and lying to the federal government about what your numbers really are.
Well, you're right, Martha. It is a crime under D.C. code. It would be false swearing and it would be false reporting. And those are statutes in the D.C. code that make it illegal to do that, to falsify police reports or to change the data. So if the DOJ is in fact investigating, I hope they do. And if they find that somebody was intentionally manipulating the data, they should be held accountable. It's a crime in the District of Columbia. And frankly, it's a disservice to the police department. It's a disservice to the city. And most of all, it's a disservice to the victims whose police reports are not being properly handled and we're not dedicating the proper resources to the crimes that they've been victims of. So something needs to change here. And this is an important issue.
It's a huge issue. Let's put up Michael Pulliam, Metropolitan Police Commander, just as one example. He served as commander of the 3rd District in 2024, and now it's confirmed that he was placed on leave because he reported to the EEOC that he felt that crimes were being misrepresented on reports, which, as you point out, is indeed a crime to do that. So they're putting police officers in a situation where they have to commit a crime to fill out their police report in front of their commanders. Where is this directive coming from? How high does this go? Is it the chief of police? Is it the mayor of D.C.?
Well, that's a good question, and I think somebody's going to have to dig into that and figure it out. I would assume that it comes from within the police department. That's my guess. I don't have any evidence as to exactly whose idea this was or who's directing the command staff to do so. But I can tell you that Commander Pulliam is a stand-up guy. I've known him my entire career. I think he's a phenomenal police officer. He's somebody that our members look to for leadership and trust. I can't imagine that he was engaged in this kind of behavior maliciously or surreptitiously to try to benefit himself. I think it's much more likely that he was directed to do this by his higher-ups so that they could make sure that the crime stats were reported in a favorable fashion to the department and to the city.
And this is a vicious cycle because not only is it breaking the law, as you say, to misindicate what the crime actually was at the crime scene, but then because it's lower, the person is probably not going to jail at all, and then they're out on the street to make other people victims, correct?
Well, you're absolutely right. So if somebody commits a robbery and then that report is taken for something less than robbery, the police department is not going to advocate the same resources to that case. The number of detectives, the amount of investigative time that might go into that. And frankly, even if you're able to close the case and make an arrest, the prosecutors are going to have an issue charging the higher offense, given the fact that the police department didn't even quantify it or qualify it properly. So it's certainly something that should not be going on. We should be taking reports for the exact offense that we show up on the scene for, what the victims are reporting to us, whatever we have probable cause to believe occurred, we should be filing the reports in a proper fashion. Anything else is not only a disservice to the city and the victim, but it's also illegal.
Huge. I mean, it sounds like a huge scandal from what I can tell. Do you have any indication this is happening in other big cities? Have you heard other police officers or other people who are involved with the police union report similar situations?
Well, there are other people in large cities that have contacted me since this information has come out, and they've indicated to me, police union officials in other cities who've said, hey, I think that's going on here. I can't speak to that. I don't know exactly what's going on, but I can say that the downturn from 2023 in major cities, which was one of the most violent years this country has had in major cities, at least in recent times, it seems like all cities are reporting a downturn, and police officers seem to have some question marks over their head about exactly how that's happening.
You, as I said in the introduction, you're chairman of the police union in D.C., but you're also an active duty detective. Are you concerned about your own job revealing this information?
Absolutely not. I'm speaking as the chairman of the union, and that's my job. If our members, I represent 3,000 sworn police officers in the district. They're the most phenomenal police officers I've ever worked with anywhere in the country. I think we have a wonderful police department, and look, we want to be able to do this job. We want to be able to go out and put handcuffs on bad guys and address criminality. We can't do that with the shortages we have. We can't do that with the underlying legislation. And so what we're hoping is while these federal agents are here and while there's this federal involvement, that there's some insight into these local laws that have been passed that prevent us from doing our job so that we can get that stuff fixed and we can move on in the future to fix it.
It sounds heartbreaking to me to think of a young police officer who's told by a higher up, yeah, don't write that down that way. And it sounds corrupt, quite frankly, in terms of cooking the numbers of crime in Washington, D.C. It's a stunning story. Gregg Pemberton, thank you very much for joining us today. Good to have you, sir.
Thank you so much.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.